You think Marty's going to be there, or is she not going to Terabella?
No, I'm in Pixley right now.
No, I'm talking.
I told her yesterday. Oh,
Marty.
tomorrow? Oh, Marty?
Today,
No, she's
Marty.
not going. No,
She's
not
not gonna be
today.
there?
Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Because Abel will be there tomorrow. So
But why wouldn't she go today?
why wouldn't she? Nobody there to let her in, probably.
Yes, there is. Rachel's there. She's done it before.
I don't know.
Or she call you and found out and said, okay, never mind.
Yeah, pretty much. I said, nope. No,
It's kind of silly.
point
She
me
has
driving.
Rachel's number, but that's all right.
Yeah. Yeah. No point me driving 30 miles out of the way. I just come straight up here.
You wouldn't have to. Somebody is there. That's what I'm saying. And she calls her. So that's, I don't know why she did that, but that's all right. Okay, Chris, are you on?
Looks like he dropped out.
Left.
There. Wait a minute. There, I hear somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's Chris.
He's so noisy. Hello. Yeah. What are you doing down there, Elijah? Something.
Hanging out the bed. All right. It's on, and so if somebody wants to do anything, I'm gonna mute this, so you guys go ahead. It's when you're ready, I'll make it or I'll make it speaker. So, and I don't think we're talking on this one. He's just gonna do his a talk. So.
Well, no, I need
so.
lots of help.
Do you want people to read things or what?
Yeah, I'm getting there here. Let me
okay.
move this.
All right.
Yeah, I should have taken some of this stuff off. A lot of stuff.
See, Rachel's on. And Rachel, I don't know if Marty called you, but I guess she called David. I don't know why. Maybe she just didn't want to come, and I don't know.
She probably didn't want to be on the office by herself.
She does it. She gets with Rachel. But maybe she had something else she'd rather do. You know. Okay. Hi, Sarah.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to make it work so you can see stuff that I'm sharing here. Because this is kind of abstract and it's interesting, but you know, I just put it together. So I'm not like you, David, where I'm getting things all organized and
don't feel bad. I was working.
Ready and
I was working on mine 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Well,
this one is very.
You want to share it, Chris? You just share your.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I need to do it that way.
You don't have it on a
Okay.
PowerPoint? If it's open on your
Uh,
desktop, just share it and you can click on what you want to show.
let's do it this way. Oh, my screen sharing says it's disabled. Is that right? Is that you, Mom?
I have you as I have you as
The
a,
host disabled. You have to check Sarah. The Sarah one has to be enabled.
okay. And I thought
Maybe.
that was the other Sarah. I don't even see her showing up. She's not,
Okay,
she's not on the list, so I can't. Let me see if I can do it this way. Okay,
Oh, this is exciting. Okay. Oh, you think it'll work?
she's
Yeah.
not showing up on the list over on the right, that tablet, so I'm not sure.
There you go.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Hold on, let me get this.
Uh-oh.
That's pretty good. Okay, how about you? Okay, well, he was pulling out the giant awning thing outside. Kept hearing a rumble. He was pressing the button, open and close and open and close. So, let me see here. This is kind of working. No, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. How can we do this? Well, whatever. Okay. I guess we'll do it. I don't know if this is gonna work this way, but whatever. Well, where did she go? I hear her down there. She's getting bananas or something. Hey, are you coming back? Let's see here. Well, this is really abstract. I guess you can't see me, right? Can you see my face or no?
Just on the
Yes.
gallery.
On the gallery. Oh, okay. It doesn't matter, but well, so this is kind of abstract. I was thinking about combining different stories. Like you got Daniel and he has the image. Oh, you can't see me. I got my hands up. Okay, so I was trying to join and compare and see the parallels between some different stories to get a better understanding of what is going on in some of these stories. I feel like you understand me better if you could see me, but can't really see me because I got this all backwards. But, oh my goodness. Let me just turn this thing on over here. Where is it? Okay, well, I guess that works. So we'll try that. So, okay, so you can kind of see me now, right? Okay. Okay, so anyway, what I was trying to do is I was trying to kind of combine like Daniel's story with the image. So he is there in Babylon and he was going to bow down, or I'm sorry, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were, commanded to bow down before the image. And then you look, you compare that, with the image of the beast in Revelation. And there are some parallels, in English, the word is image, right? So I was going to look at this Daniel story and the Revelation story, and also I didn't get very far, but the Esther story, and they all have these parallels mingled together to explain a bigger picture of what happens in our future. So it's kind of like a four whammy. There's the Daniel, and there's Revelation and Esther and our future with the Vatican. So that's some of the stuff I was looking at. So, but again, this is very abstract. It's very abstract, and it's not organized. It's organized a little bit, but so I'll just start. Well, here I'll share something here that was pretty fun. I was looking at a couple things. Well, I was looking at some of the Esther stuff, but I'll just compare more of the Revelation and Daniel stuff instead of trying to combine Esther in there, because I didn't do very well yet. So looking at, maybe somebody can read these, and if anybody has even better thoughts, then that is even better. I don't know if you can see some of that. Maybe it should be switched around if the image is here. I'll switch it over here. Maybe it'll be easier. So this is kind of a summary of what is happening. And this is Daniel 3. So I went through Daniel 1, 2, 3. Daniel 3 is full of the metal man with all the medals on the statue, and where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego didn't want to bow down. And there are parallels to that story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and in Revelation 13 with God's people, being commanded to worship this image, this false idea. And so in Daniel 3, we have the number 666 in both stories. So if somebody can read this, Daniel 3.
An image of gold whose height was 60 times 6 cubits in Babylon. But if it were a 3D statue, it would have 3 dimensions, correct? 60 cubit high, 6 cubit wide, and 6 cubit deep. You then have the number of a man, and his number is 666.
So, we were just looking at Daniel 3, and this is the actual text. I'm sorry, this is the text, Daniel 3. And, there's the 60 by 6. So it's 60 cubits high, which I think was around 90 feet high, and 6 feet wide. So it's really tall, and it's not very wide. And I was trying to figure that one out, David. I don't understand how in the world it's way up there, but it's kind of skinny. I was thinking maybe it was on a wall or something. I don't know. But to consider a height, and then a width, and then maybe a depth of 6 was a theory of some folks. And so it gives you the idea 666. So that was one idea. I don't know if that's true. I haven't looked into it far enough to figure that one out. But it's very interesting. But then there is, of course, that we all know this text very well. Maybe somebody read that one too.
Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and the number is 666. 666.
There you go. So it's a 666 here in Revelation, and also a 666 over here, maybe in Daniel 3:1. That certainly has a bunch of sixes. And I know 60, they had some different ways of counting things, and 60 was a big one for Babylon. So anyways, that is just interesting. But to move on to something more firm, we can look at Daniel 3. So we're kind of going through Daniel, and then we're finding the Revelation verses that kind of connect to it. So Daniel 3:2, there is a universal decree set up. So maybe somebody can read this guy right here.
Go ahead, Keith, if you want to.
Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, governors, captains, judges, treasurers, counselors, sheriffs, rulers for the dedication of the image from the king.
So everyone, I mean, he's just saying, okay, everybody, all the people in charge, most definitely.
It's like a government.
It's like a big government. That's right. And it was a dedication for this image. So in the future, obviously, there's going to be a decree set up, and there'll be a dedication of this institution and of the the Antichrist, the entire system. But if we look also over here at, we can kind of connect this one. Here, I'll do this with Revelation 13. And this also speaks of this universal decree set up. And it says, and he causeth all, once again, all, just like all these princes and all these sheriffs and all these peoples and rulers, all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. So it was a very universal thing. Everybody, because everybody's either rich or everybody's rich or poor, or everybody's kind of small or great, free and bond. So it's everybody. So it's just interesting to see some of the things that kind of come together. And I know you guys have seen this before, some of these things, plenty of these things, but I was trying to kind of put them together, make it easier to see. And this was another little connection, Revelation 13:3. Yes, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and then all the world wandered after that beast. So again, it's all universal. It's a very universal thing. And as we get towards the end, we'll see that it is definitely a very universal thing, especially with what the Vatican, at least, is doing right now, as well as the rest of the world religions, world governments. It's not called United Nations for nothing. So here's another one here, and we're looking at Daniel 3:4. In my summary, it says, a command to bow and worship the false god. And so that's what happens in Daniel 3. They are commanded to do so, to worship. Maybe somebody could read this one.
All peoples, nations, languages, when you hear the sound of music, fall down and worship the image from the king.
Worship the image, worship the likeness, the image, the false entity, and it's from this king. So yes, there's bow and worship in Daniel 3:4. And then you can also, of course, look at over here at Revelation 13:7, and it kind of connects to the same thing. Maybe you can read that one too.
And it was given unto him
Maybe
to
I'll read
make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations.
So he had power over everybody.
Hmm.
Power was given him. Yeah, so he had power, just like the king, over everybody, everybody, all kindreds. So you got the three kindreds, tongues, and nations. And up here in Daniel, you have peoples, nations, and languages. And he overcame them. He overcame them. How do you overcome them? Well, maybe they fell down and they worshipped the image from the king. Everything's overcome them and power is given. Oh yeah, well, not quite that way, I suppose. Okay, well, anyway, and there's another one here in Revelation 13:8. If you guys have any other thoughts.
Well, in Revelation 14:3, it was the dragon who gave power to the beast. So in verse 7, you can probably put that also. That was the dragon that gave him to make war with the saints, to overcome them. It was probably by the dragon, because it was a dragon in verse 4.
Yes. So what I was just saying wasn't quite spot on. Yeah, it is Satan, and he gives power to them. And then there's a little bit more here in Revelation, and it says, and all that dwell upon the earth, that they shall worship him whose names are not written in the book of life. So all that dwell upon the earth. Yeah. So again, it's just all kindreds, tongues, and nations, and power was given him over all kindreds. Well, yes. And all peoples, nations, and upon the all they that dwell upon the earth. So anyway, it is a global thing, and there's a whole lot of people doing it, and the people that are doing it are those that are not written in the book of life. They have lost their way, and they have chosen another god. And I found this one here was interesting. I thought I'd add it too. This was Esther, and when it comes to the command to bow and worship, Esther, well, it was Mordecai who had the issue with bowing as well. Maybe somebody can read that one at the bottom.
And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath.
Yes. So there's this thing about bowing down and worshiping and falling down, this whole system, and Satan wants you to do so. He wants to become God. And if you don't do it, he will be full of wrath.
Okay. Yeah, and those are the first two commandments, right?
That's right. Love the Lord your God. Have no other gods. Yeah. And then there is, of course, there's certainly this one. There is a death penalty. If you don't do this bowing down and this worshiping to this false system and this antichrist, there is a death penalty in Daniel 3:6. And maybe somebody can read this, Daniel 3:6.
Thanks, Keith.
Whosoever falleth not down and worship shall immediately be cast into the fiery furnace.
Uh-huh. And so we know that there were a few young men that decided not to fall down and worship, and they got into some trouble. And if you parallel that with the Revelation, in the future, in our future, we can also see this very similar things here in Revelation 13. Maybe you can read that one too.
And this lamb-like beast had power to give life to the image of the beast, and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed.
So you got to kill him. So there is either worship in Daniel or worship in Revelation. And if you don't do it, well, you get the fiery furnace in Daniel's time, and you get killed in our future. Yeah, so it's the similar ideas. And so then I was looking at some of the, well, let's see what it says here. I was looking at the church and the state unite to demand worship together in Daniel 3. This is kind of part of the rest of the info up above. But in Daniel 3, it says, when all the people heard the sound of the music, let's try to figure out what's the deal with this music. How do we combine this and parallel this with the future or the past? Do you got the music, or do you have horns, or do you, I don't know what the deal is with
How about trumpets?
trumpets. Yep. When you hear it, yep. That's definitely a possibility. So when you hear it,
that's one of the things that when you look under the definition of a trumpet, it is to call people to assemble.
That's true. Definitely. There's a definitely different trumpet sounds to assemble or to alarm, to go to war. Yeah.
And you see, we don't have that. We won't have that today, but we have the media.
Exactly.
That calls people.
Yeah. That's right. We do have that. Yep. So when you hear all the music, all the people, the nations, and the languages, they need to fall down and they need to worship this false image. And that's in Daniel. So we already know this stuff. So let's look at Revelation 3, 13:3, I think is what it is. And it says something here that's very similar to this idea of worship. Maybe somebody could read that one too.
And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast.
So again, all the world wandered after the beast. I guess this is like over and over throughout there. The whole world sees it. I know Ellen White talks about that. And you wonder about, well, you're going to see him on TV? Oh yeah, you better believe it. Is the media going to share him? Oh, you better believe it. Yeah, it's going to share everything. So yeah, the whole world sees it and wanders after it and worships it if they are not written in the book of life and don't know the truth. And then this is also Revelation. This must be Revelation 13:7. And it says, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints. We already read this. And to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. So again, Daniel 3. So it says it again, huh? The kindreds, tongues, and nations, peoples, nations up here, and languages. So anyway, it's a whole lot of people, everybody. And another aspect was interesting looking at this one here. It looks like the even the Jews worship the false image, because there's a ton of Jews in Babylon, and they were all falling down in worship. But there was this teeny little minority of 3 people, and that's all the Bible talks about, that decided they didn't want to fall down in worship. But that same time in Daniel 3, it says that the Chaldeans came and they accused the Jews. And it goes on to say, to explain that more, but, they were saying, hey, the Babylonians, they were saying, hey, you're Jews, you're not supposed to be worshiping images and idols and whatnot. It's a commandment. So they were very accused. So you can fall in some big holes if you start going down that road for sure. And actually, I wasn't sure. I didn't know where to find a parallel for this exactly, but I just thought that was interesting. But in Revelation 13:8, it does talk about, again, that all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life. So, there's a lot of Jews in the future that are going to worship the beast. There's a lot of Adventists in the future that will worship the beast. And I hope that we don't follow that path as well. But it is what it is. Let's see. What else is here? Well, it's fun to go through Daniel anyway. Daniel 3:12. Maybe somebody can read that one as we're going through.
There are certain Jews, Shadrach, Shadrach, Mendigo, and Abednego.
Meshach and Abednego.
Yeah, they do not worship the golden image. Then they brought these men before the king. The king said, "Is this true?"
Is this true? That's right. So they were brought before them and asked if it were true that they were not worshiping the golden image. And, I was thinking of, what is that? When he brought before courts and they will persecute you for my sake. And Mark 13:9 here. What are we here? Let's try this one. It says, Jesus said, "But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils." That's kind of like when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they were brought before the king because they weren't doing what the king commanded. So Jesus says, "For they shall deliver you for councils and the synagogues, and you shall be beaten, and you shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them." So in the future, you can see what happens. You do it, you get punished. You don't do it, you get punished. So yeah, you definitely want to follow God's commands. What is that? That was Mark 13:9. And probation.
But when we're brought up in front of those councils and those synagogues, it tells us right there that the reason we're there is for the sake of Jesus Christ. And for those people who brought us in there, the people of the council, the people of the synagogues, this is for a testimony against them. So basically, these people are signing their death sentence.
That's right. That is exactly right. And that's what he says. That's what Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego say in the future. Be it known, you can throw us in this fiery furnace, but let it be known that, even if we die, he says, even if we die, we will not worship the image. But, they're very hopeful that God will save them also. So also looking at Mark 13:11, it says, when you are arrested and judged, don't be worried about what you should say. So you might think, oh my goodness, what in the world is, where'd they go? What in the world is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego going to say when they come before the king? What are they going to say? Well, Jesus says, hey, don't worry so much about it. Follow me, and I'm going to take care of the rest. When you're arrested and judged, don't worry about what you should say. Say the things God gives you to say at the time. It will not really be you speaking. I don't know what version that is, but that's Google. So anyway, that's what they did, and that is the faith of the saints for sure. Maybe we should put that there too. But then there is also there's also this interesting fact. Probation? I don't know what I'm doing here. But there is probation, or a time of trouble. I don't know what exactly I'm going on there, but anyway, the three boys, they had long before decided to honor God only, right? So it wasn't an immediate thing, because all those people that bowed down, they didn't say, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. I'm not going to do this. They may have said, well, this is not a good thing, but if I don't do it, I'm going to die. But these three boys had decided long before, saying, you know what, we are going to honor God every day of our life. And when that a difficult day comes, well, we'll know what to do.
Oh, Chris, actually 4 had long before decided to honor God, because we're going to talk about that when it comes to our diet.
Ah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes. You're going to talk about diet and Daniel? Oh,
Unfortunately, yes. You are what you eat.
Unfortunately. Don't step on our toes too hard. Huh?
Sorry,
Just
not my
step on
words.
Yeah, you step on the whole foot, just go for it.
Mhm.
Well, also, looking at these three boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who were Daniel's friends, they were taken from Jerusalem when Nebuchadnezzar took over Jerusalem. These three boys were taken back to Babylon along with Daniel. And in Daniel 3:15, it says, maybe somebody can read this one.
Is that you, Keith? I'm not sure.
Now, if you hear the music and fall down and worship the image, will you be, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast into the fiery furnace immediately. And what God can deliver you out of my hands? Well, I think that was answered.
Mhm.
I think it was. But they were not sure. They were sure what they believed. And that's the faith of the saints for sure. For sure. But also,
they were more concerned about eternity than right now.
That's right.
Well, you had these
exactly
three, you had these three boys. Where was Daniel at?
He was praying at his window, getting in trouble too.
That's a good point. Yeah. He must have been somewhere else. He didn't want to go out there and incriminate himself. Maybe those three boys, maybe they were just caught out there during the music. Oh no, it's happening.
Well, wasn't Daniel kind of
the
governor? Wasn't he kind of in control of pretty much everything in government?
That's true. Yeah, he was definitely
been isolated in his quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Isolated in his quarters. That sounds like quarantine or something. Yeah. Well, in the future, that may be similar for a lot of folks. People thinking, should I go out? Should I incriminate myself? Things are being demanded of me. If I go out, there's going to be problems. I think I'll just stay home. I think that's, anyway. And there's a little bit more here. What does it say here? So these three boys, long before decided they're going to honor God. And then Daniel 3, it says, king says, hey, why don't you just bow down? Well, will you be if you worship, but if you worship not, you're going to be cast into the fiery furnace immediately.
Yeah. Some ministers say that, why didn't they just bend down and pretend to tie their shoes?
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not really bowing down. I'm just tying my shoes.
Yeah, that's a little compromise. I'm sure God will wink at that one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might just work every time. Yeah.
I don't think God will see it that way.
Yep.
He knows your heart.
He looks upon the heart, and man looks
Right.
on the outer appearance. Well, also looking here, we have Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they answered the king, and they said something very important. Maybe somebody can read what they said here.
Okay. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king.
That's right. So they're not quite sure, but they are sure of their God. They are sure of their faith. They know that the eternal life is on the line, and that's the most important thing. So we are very sure in this matter. We don't care what you do, but God will conclude this whole matter. And then did I have Revelation in here? I didn't have anyway. I think I'm missing. Yeah, I'm missing all this stuff here. Well, some of this is interesting anyway. Looking at faith, the faith of Daniel 3 with these boys says, our God is able to deliver us from the fiery furnace. So that is some quite incredible faith, a faith in the sight of death. But like we said, eternal death is much worse, the second death. Yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff here. What's this one? Let's see what this one is. Daniel 3:19. Maybe somebody can read this one.
Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury, and his appearance changed against them. He commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times hotter.
So the king said, hey, I'm going to heat it up even hotter for you guys, and there is no way you're going to get out of that. And it's a wild thought. Why in the world would you think you need to heat it hotter? I mean, if I jumped in my kitchen oven, I'm there's no fire in there. I'm still going to burn up, cook. I'm going to be black. But, he wanted 7 times hotter. And not only was it hotter, but it was 7 times hotter. It was 7. And I don't know if those young boys said, oh, 7, really? That's an interesting number. Because we're looking at 6 and all these 6s and this statue and everything, and then he says 7. Maybe there's a reason, I don't know.
Well,
but it was a whole lot hotter.
7 usually in prophecy is perfection or completion. So maybe they're going to completely show him that God's in control, not you.
That's right. That's right. That is God's number. Why is Nebuchadnezzar using God's number? Yeah, it's wild. And might compare that a little bit with Revelation 13:11. Maybe somebody can read that one too.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns.
Of the civil government, yeah.
Okay, like
a
king.
lamb.
And he spake as a dragon.
And he spake as a dragon. There's a beast coming up out of the earth with 2 horns, and he's like a lamb, but he speaks as a dragon. I know at one point here, he speaks as a dragon. He was full of fury. Was he like a lamb? I don't know. Well, it's a beast like a lamb. It's a beast with horns like a lamb. But anyway, there was also, so he spake like a dragon full of fury. It was interesting. What's his verse here? Maybe something or other. What was that word he used? Massage, change.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, Daniel something here. Daniel 3:19 is also showing that he spake as a dragon. He was full of fury, and after talking to him, oh, I guess that's the same one. Okay. So anyway,
You
his
could say
demeanor.
like a lamb. When the three boys first came in, he asked them very calmly, though, what
Mhm.
God can save you? That could be like a lamb.
That's right. So he was in the beginning like a lamb,
Yeah,
full of
he was
fury.
calm at first.
Yes. But then it says, and the foremost visage was changed against them. So he was like a lamb, and then he spake as a dragon. So sneaky and tricky. That sounds about like somebody I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of fun stuff in here, but well, let's read this one because it's so cool. Maybe somebody can read about the deliverance of the people, because even in Revelation, there's great deliverance. Who wants to read that one?
Is it Violet or Carol?
The king was astonished and rose in haste, saying to the counselors, did we not cast 3 men into the fire? Yes, they said. He said, I see 4 men loose walking the fire and not hurt, and the 4th is like the Son of God.
Yep. So that is always a really fun one to talk about. I had wondered, I mean, son of the gods or son of God. Had he been talking to Daniel? Did he have an idea about this son of God that Daniel may have talked about? Or was it more like, hey, that 4th guy in there, he looks really good for his age. He is young. Maybe he is a son of the gods. I don't know. But another aspect I had wondered also is depending on who he's talking about when he talks about the son of the gods, if at all he was referring to Jesus, it's kind of, I don't know, it's out there. But if he had been referring to Jesus because Daniel had said something, or the Jews had said something about the son, that could mean that there was a son in heaven before there was a son, reincarnated on earth. Because a lot of people want to say, oh, there was no son of God until he was born on earth. He wasn't the son, he was just Jesus. And so that's a fun thought, but there's not a whole lot of solid evidence there. But it is pretty amazing to see 4 men loose walking, and the 4th one was there taking good care of them. And obviously there are plenty of deliverance stories at the end of Revelation, somewhere in there. Let's see, what else do we have here? Maybe I'll share this one. Well, not only, maybe somebody can read that one. Daniel. This is everybody is beholding this miracle of these people.
Yeah. I think it's Keith.
Princes, governors, captains, counselors, saw these men who were not hurt with fire, no hair singed, nor the smell of fire.
Oh yes. it's not quite the same, but
What's
so
what's
anyway,
it?
yeah.
What's interesting recently, the forest fires up in the mountains 50, 100 miles away. Some mornings you
Mhm.
wake up and can smell it from that far away.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
They couldn't
That's
smell it
right.
right
Oh yeah,
coming out of the furnace.
right out of the furnace. That's a furnace, all right. Did the big trees get burned up?
And not all of them. There's some I think got burned.
Some of them got burned, but the four major ones, General Sherman, there's four of them they said that wasn't hurt at all. But they had to do a lot of protection for them.
Oh wow.
Mhm.
Did the fire
Yeah.
get all the way up to Three Rivers or no? Up there?
I think it stopped before it got to Three Rivers,
Okay.
but I haven't been up there, so.
I gotcha. Yeah, the fires are crazy.
Yeah.
I know there's plenty of fires. You know, Pope would be glad to talk all about fires and how we need to stop the fires with the
But up
climate
above,
change.
up above Three Rivers, there's a couple campgrounds that I go camping there quite a few times. I'll have to go up there and check those out, see if it got down to them.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty, very pretty. Well, that's about. I haven't gotten much further than that, but there are some other fun things that I had here.
Mhm.
As I was considering we kind of looked through tiny bit of Daniel and Revelation and kind of compare them. And then I had some Esther stuff, but I don't think I'll share all that stuff. It's just going to get all confusing, but the stories definitely can parallel and whatnot. No, I was looking to see what else fits in with like our future with this this system with Daniel Revelation, and these are more current event stuff.
Well,
But it is interesting.
you could say that the three men, they was sealed with the seal of God,
Mhm.
like the mark on their forehead in the book of Revelation, so that they cannot be
That's right.
harmed.
That's right. And maybe we'll look at that one at least.
Oh, Chris, I
This
was
is
going
one
to
of the
say,
Esther ones. Yeah.
I was going to say, sometimes being confused is a good thing. That means you're going to have to go to your Bible and study.
There you go. Yeah, that's right.
That's how sometimes the sermon comes to me when I go, "What is that about?"
What is that about?
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
there'll be a name. There'll be a name in the Bible that's only used once. You go, "Well, who is that? Well, how did I notice that before?"
Yep, I've seen that for sure. Yeah, and it's funny because everything in the Bible matters. Every little word.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, looking.
So tomorrow you're going to hear about a Azazel.
Oh, really? Okay. Isn't that a bad guy?
Yeah, well, could be. You have to
Could be.
watch and find out.
All right. That and diet. Well, there's a little bit more here. New name.
Yeah,
When we look at the new name in Daniel, it says that the prince of the eunuchs gave names, for he gave Daniel the name Belshazzar. So he got a new name, right? And then you can look at, definitely in Esther, you can see, and he brought up Hadassah. That was like the whatever you call it, the leader of the women. He brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, because she had a new name. So the king is giving all these new names, and I know you guys know this. And then, of course, in Revelation, it says, and I will give him a white stone, and in that stone, a new name that no one knows except you. Even Jesus had received a new name from his Father.
Mhm.
What do they mean exactly? I don't know exactly. But then there's also Revelation 22. And they shall see his face, and his name shall be in their foreheads. So that's kind of like what you were talking about with the seal. There is a name shall be in their foreheads. You have been sealed by God. You have his name on you. Or you could have Satan's name on you. Or you can have the beast's name, the mark of the beast on you. Whether it's symbolic or visible at all by the angels. I think Ellen White talks a little bit about that. But anyway, that's pretty interesting with the new name.
And sometimes people say name and they always think that means specific. And it's like, no. Name doesn't mean necessarily a specific name. It's a memory or a person or a just, it doesn't mean a specific name. So that's why the names in their foreheads, you won't see Jesus written on your forehead. You just have him in your mind.
Yeah, and your thoughts.
Right.
Yep. And then I had some other thoughts, just some quick thoughts on this beast in Revelation. So this beast does all these things, causes everybody to receive this mark. And where are we here? And the little horn pops up. Where are we? Well, where are we here? Well, anyway, I was trying to connect some of the verses to our future. And, well, there are some interesting things. This one, I think you've seen this one. Let's see. Let me share some of these with you. Oh, it's big. This was a while ago. And this was the Jesuit general. He creates 4 guidelines to rule the Catholics for the next 10 years. So this is just interesting how, Satan prepares things. This little horn in Revelation prepares things. And very interesting that he creates 10 years and then they continue following through for all these years until this 29. And, they talk about the 2030 and the climate solution and everything occurring in 2030. And, but anyway, I haven't really connected all these things very well. But anyway, this Spirit General, the Society of Jesus, he makes today made public the 4 main reference points known as the Universal Apostolic Preferences. So he made this general of the Jesuits made this Universal Apostolic Preference 4 points, and then he gave it to guide the life work of the Jesuits over the next 10 years. And that was in 2019. It was like, whatever. But then as you see what happens in the rest of what the Vatican is doing, what that little horn is doing, what the beast in Revelation 13 is doing, you see that it just continues to follow through. And if you can connect some of these verses with what's happening in our future, it would be very interesting. So he has this 10-year plan, and he said, Pope Francis, the general said, Pope Francis has approved these 4 preferences and entrusted them to the Jesuits as their mission. So 2019 to 2030, or 29, 2019 to 2029 is 10 years, and they got to fulfill these 4 main reference points. It's like, and you think, oh, well, that's no big deal, but then they continue to follow through on them. And it is interesting to see what they say about these things and how it continues to unravel. At the Jesuits.global on their site, it says, with these 4 universal apostolic preferences, and this is just on the front page, we resolve to concentrate and concretize our vital apostolic energies for these 10 years. So they want to continue these 4 preferences for the world. He says, the site says, Jesuits.global says, we accept them as a mission of the church through Pope Francis, who has approved them. So here we go. We're going through 10 years of these 4 priorities. And I know I shared this a long time ago, but it kind of goes, it unravels all the way to our day, which is very interesting. And number 1 is the spiritual exercises. And then you got to help the poor, of course, or migrants and whatnot. You need to work with the young people. And of course, there was a whole bunch of youth strikes for this climate change stuff. And number 4 is, it's that big common word, care for a common home, or care for climate change, which is all he talks about anymore. So those are the 4 points that they have to achieve in the next, until 2029, so that the 2030 agenda is accomplished for the world. And there's just some interesting, let me show you some of these. These are very interesting. We don't want to wander after this beast, but it is very interesting to see these things take place. This is Pope Francis, and he said, we have the opportunity to prepare a better tomorrow for all. From God's hands, we have received a garden. That's our earth. And we cannot leave a desert to our children. So, he's certainly thinking of the number 3 here. We got to work with the young people for their future. But it's all wrapped around this climate stuff, which I know we're tired of hearing about. So this is kind of where it starts here. That was a lot of what the Pope and the Jesuit general had decided to shoot for the next 10 years until 2029. And so then, of course, we kind of get on board a little bit more. And it says, this is my summarization. The U.S. sets John Kerry to lead the dialogue on climate crisis. And this was a while ago. Joe Biden, it says, has appointed former Secretary John Kerry as a special presidential envoy for climate change. Yeah, that's fine. He wants to do that. That's good. Everybody's got to have a position. But it continues from November 23. Of course, because we are part of the Paris climate agreement, so we have to continue these things, just as the Pope has said that he would, and all the other nations. But it's very interesting to see all this stuff coming together regarding this climate thing. It doesn't even matter if it's about climate necessarily, but the fact that the entire world is just reveling together regarding these things is very wild. So this is my summary again. John Kerry rallies the world to join the U.S. in climate crisis solutions. So he's trying to rally the world for the U.S. It says July, just a few months ago, John Kerry stopped at the Vatican during a European trip in which he has spoken to political leaders in Rome and London and Berlin, and they go all over the place. But it's interesting. And he's promoting a greater cooperation in combating climate change. And the trip is in preparation for the 26th conference on climate change, the UN conference. And it's not just the UN conference, it gets weirder and weirder. So, he's rallying for this whole climate thing. So he stops by the Vatican, and all these other cities, preparing for the conference, which comes yearly. I think it's yearly anyway, or every few years. Anyway, I think it's yearly. And it goes on to say here, John Kerry meets the Pope privately. So then a little bit later, July, April, May, Joe Biden's special envoy with John Kerry for the climate met privately with the Pope on Saturday and called Pope Francis a compelling moral authority on the subject of climate crisis. And of course he would, because he loves talking about that. So they both love talking about it. So they're both going to complement each other. And there's a few more here. You should see these. And it goes on in May 17, and John Kerry, he loves the Pope's encyclical. The whole stuff that everyone was talking about, Laudato Si encyclical 2015. So he says he loves it again in May 17. And he described it as a very powerful document, eloquent and morally persuasive. So it's something he really enjoys. And of course, that's not even that interesting, but as you go on, where are we here? May 25 here. My summary says the Pope tells Catholics we're already 3 years into the 10-year plan. Remember, there was a 10-year plan set in 2019 by the Jesuit general and approved by the Pope. And with 7 years left, so join, this movement, which, of course, his movement is actually Sunday rest, which is found in that encyclical that he made. So that's what it says. Pope Francis launched 7-year Laudato Si action plan. The Vatican's long-awaited program for putting Pope Francis' ecological encyclical into action. So we're finally talking more about trying to put it into action. Throughout the church debuted Tuesday, and the Pope inviting all Catholics on a journey to create the future that we want, right? That's the future he wants for sure. A more inclusive and fraternal and peaceful and sustainable world. So it's all, of course, it's all about climate stuff. And there's a couple more here. Let's see what it says here. My summary says, all religions join the Pope to save the planet from the climate crisis. And you've probably seen this, Keith. You've probably seen this. October 4, just a few days ago, Pope Francis and other religious leaders made a joint appeal on Monday for next month's UN climate change conference. This is that yearly conference to offer concrete solutions to save the planet. And what is Pope Francis' concrete solution in the end is his encyclical with Sunday rest in it. And it's an unprecedented ecological crisis signed today, October 4, in the Vatican and addressed to all governments participating in the 26th UN Climate Change Conference. So all these religious leaders and the Pope meet at the Vatican, and they sign this joint appeal, and they send it to all the governments, saying, "Hey, we want everybody to be on board to save the Earth." So he's uniting all the religions now, and trying to find some stuff to put together here, but I have not gotten there yet. But Revelation 13 talks about when all the world wandered after the beast. Okay, there's two more here. And it goes on to say on October 29, 2021, which is, well, that's in our future. Biden will meet with the Pope on October 29 in the Vatican City, where, according to the White House, they plan to discuss working together on efforts grounded in, all these respect for fundamental human dignity, and including ending the COVID pandemic, tackling the climate crisis, and caring for the poor. So it's kind of like going through his four fundamentals from the Jesuit general, just continuing them as we go along through this 10-year plan from the general. And it's interesting to see, let's show this here. Looking at the UN UK COP26. Is this the official site? I'm not sure. think it is. But it is interesting to see the UN climate change conference in Glasgow, where the Pope may or may not, end up being there, but he's going to have plenty to say there or send a delegate there. But it is COP26 in partnership with Italy. So it's interesting to see the United Nations and this climate change initiative, and it's all in partnership with Italy. Why? I don't know exactly. But, it's certainly about uniting the world to tackle this climate change. And, all these people come together. Every time you look at this whole thing, you see all these people come together, the leaders of everywhere.
I don't care.
Yeah, I should quit soon. So anyway, it's very interesting to see some of these things and some of the things that this site has on it regarding the COP26, the conference. It says in partnership with Italy. Yes, of course, uniting the world for climate change, and of course, the Paris Agreement promised, and Glasgow must deliver. So this is what they did in 2015, but over here in 2021, they say we must deliver. We got to get this done. So anyway, I know there's a lot of stuff, but it looks to me like, the Vatican or the little horn has plenty to do here regarding all this stuff. And he's just continuing to do what he does while we, do what we do. And he does this all day long. It's his thing. And he's got a 10-year plan. So hopefully we have our 10-year plan, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, where they said, you can throw us in that fiery furnace, but we will not change what we think. We are sure in this matter, and our God can deliver us through these things. So they are going to take place, and Revelation is unfolding. But yeah, we have to stay strong. We have to be faithful to the truth. And when these things are really fulfilled in Revelation, that we can stay firm for sure. So anyway, those are some fun things I had been thinking about recently, and connecting Daniel and Revelation and Esther and
Well, will you hush?
some of these things. Ding ding. So anyway, that's about all I have for now.
That's all very
I know it's a
interesting,
bit
Christopher.
abstract.
There's a lot going on, and all of that Bible, it's going to come out sometime. And this just gives people an idea. When you see things, you can remember. It doesn't mean it's a definite, but you can certainly see it and know things are, winding down one way or another.
Yeah, I would just say
A
the
lot of
Vatican's
important
on the
things
move.
out there.
Vatican's on the move, but God's on the move. So
The Pope is
pick one,
definitely in the Bible.
Yeah, there you go. Well, so David, I don't know if he's still there, but David, are you going to be is he sharing next? He's going to be sharing on Daniel and the diet and stuff. I think that's what he said.
Who, Dave?
Yeah.
Dave.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know what he has.
Yeah.
I don't know what he has.
oh. Okay. I'm
Are you
back.
going to tell me that
Sorry,
I
I
can't eat meat anymore?
had to go to the bathroom.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Am I going to have to be vegan?
No,
No.
but I'll give you some
Okay, I'm gonna
choices.
go ahead and turn it off the other one, and then I'll bring it back on. So go ahead and unshare yours, Chris.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okie dokie. But we do need to eat better for sure. That's true.
Well, we're preparing for tomorrow. Tomorrow we're fasting.
Preparing for that.
Well, some will be.
Yeah. You know what the
time-
Jews do?